Shalom Israel, this is YAHAWAH. All praises to the Most High. Hallelujah. Can't thank the Most High enough. It's all about Him. This is a Shabbat at the end of the week here. And I'm going to go over the 613 laws. And this is for you brothers and sisters out there who are always saying, why are they always talking about the laws, statutes, commandments, and no one's talking about the laws? So I'm going to go over the laws. I'm not going to go through each and every one as far as explaining what it means. But I'm just going to read what I have just so you know what the 613 laws are. Okay? So this may take about maybe 45 minutes or maybe a little longer. So first thing I'm going to read, I'm going to get right to it. And I pray that all Israel as well. Okay, and these are the things that we need to know in order to come together and prosper. So I'll start off with Joshua 1 and 8. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. Alright, so these are the things that we must do in order to have good success. Okay, this is the Most High's laws, YAHAWAH's 613 laws according to latest information. Alright, so we're going to go over the positive commandments first. Okay, and there's 248 positive commandments. All those that don't apply to the day, I will tell you this does not apply. Okay, so start at number 1. Believe in YAHAWAH as the only source of power in the universe. That's Exodus 20 and 2. Submit to YAHAWAH as the supreme head, to be unity with YAHAWAH. Deuteronomy 6 and 4. Number 3. Love YAHAWAH with all our heart, soul, and might. That's Deuteronomy 6 and 5. 4. Number 4. Reverence YAHAWAH by keeping His laws. Deuteronomy 6 and 1 dash 2, 13, 25. Number 5. Serve YAHAWAH. Exodus 23 verse 25. Number 6. Hold fast to YAHAWAH. Deuteronomy chapter 10 verse 20. Number 7. Taking an oath by YAHAWAH's name. Deuteronomy chapter 6 verse 13. 8. Walk in YAHAWAH's ways. Deuteronomy 28 verse 9. Number 9. Sanctify YAHAWAH's name. Leviticus chapter 22 verse 32. Number 10. Read the book of the law. Deuteronomy chapter 6 verse 7. That means to study and meditate on the book of the law. Number 11. Teach the book of the law to our children. Deuteronomy chapter 6 verse 7. Number 12. Bind the law upon our hands. Deuteronomy chapter 6 verse 8. And to bind it on your hands means to hold the Bible and read from it. Okay? And all your actions that you do should be in the law. Okay? That's another way of binding it on your hands. The things that you do. Knowledge, understanding. Okay? Number 13. Bind the law upon our minds. Deuteronomy chapter 6 verse 8. That means to act in the way of thinking with your mind. That's the sixth sense of a holy man. Number 14. Make fringes on the corners of your garments. Numbers chapter 15 verse 38 through verse 40. Number 15. Preach and publish YAHAWAH's law. Deuteronomy chapter 6 verse 9. Number 16. Gather for the reading of the law every 7th year. Deuteronomy chapter 31 verse 10 through 13, and that means the jubilee year. 7th year means jubilee, and that's the forgiving of debt. Okay, and changing your land over from one land that you may have used for 7 years, letting that heal for another 7 years, and getting another piece of land. And that still applies today, believe it or not. Number 17. Let's see. A king must acquire and apply the book of the law. Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 18 through 20. Number 18. Acquire the book of the law. That means to go out and buy one for yourself, not borrow somebody else's. Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 19. Although you can, but get your own book. Number 19. Be thankful to YAHAWAH in prayer, praise, and deed. Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 10. Number 20. Now these is concerning the temple and the priest. Okay? And I'll reiterate when I get to the bottom of it. Like I said, a lot of these laws don't pertain anymore due to the fact that the Son of the Most High, Hamashiach, Yahawashi, who the world calls Jesus Christ, died for our sins, Israel's sins. Number 20. Build the holy house of YAHAWAH. Exodus chapter 25, verse 8 through 9. That applies. All the ones before what I just read applies. Number 21. Reverence YAHAWAH in the house of the Most High. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 30. That applies. 23. The priest and Levite shall do their appointed work in the house of the Most High. Numbers chapter 18, verse 23, 6 through 7. Now, okay, we no longer know who the Levites are, so we don't know who those priests are. But now it says that the whole house of Israel will become priests. Okay, when you read the scriptures, you'll know what I'm talking about. Number 24. The priests must wash their hands and feet. Exodus chapter 30, verse 17 through 21. This applies. Before you go into a congregation, wash your body, wash yourself. All right, you have to show by your actions how we must be when we walk to the altar of the Most High. And the altar could be anywhere. We don't have a priestly house anymore. The priestly house is our bodies and our spirits. Okay, so when we come to worship and praise the Most High, we should be clean. Okay, verse 25. Number 25. The priest must light the 7 lampstand. Exodus chapter 27, verse 21. All right, this does not apply, but it can. On a feast day, you can light the 7 lampstand. Okay, number 26. The priest must bless the people with the name of the Most High YAHAWAH. Numbers chapter 6, verse 23 through 27. Now the servants are blessing the people, and the Most High will name who the priests are. Number 27. The priest must set the showbread and frankincense before the ark. Exodus chapter 25, verse 30. We no longer have an ark, and this does not apply. Number 28. The priest must burn the incense on the golden altar in the morning and between the evenings. Exodus chapter 30, verse 7 through 8 does not apply. The priest must keep the fire burning on the altar continuously. Leviticus chapter 6, verse 12 through 13 does not apply. The priest must, this is number 30. The priest must remove the ashes from the altar daily. Leviticus chapter 6, verse 10 through 11. This does not apply. We don't have an altar anymore. And it's a little windy today. They had earthquake earlier, so, and then there's the Sabbath, so I'm reading the scriptures. I'm up here in Northern California, so just so you know why it's windy. Normally when an earthquake happens, it gets real windy. 31. Number 31. The priest must keep the ritually unclean out of the inner court of the house of YAHAWAH. Numbers chapter 5, verse 2 through 3. Okay, that does not apply. 32, but it can apply when it comes to teaching the Most High's word. The unclean should not be getting in the midst of the Most High's word. Okay, but although we speak in the streets, or we speak anywhere that the Most High chooses, we are basically around the unclean, so we can camp ourselves together to keep that little spot clean. Okay, number 32. The priest must be regarded as holy. Leviticus chapter 21 verse 8. Now the people must be considered as holy. Okay, how are we going to become holy? What we're doing right now, reading the commandments and learning them and doing them. Okay, that one applies for the whole people now. 33. The priest must dress in specially priestly garments. Exodus chapter 28, verse 2 through 4, 40. Okay, this does not apply, but we can rehearse the righteous acts. 34. Number 34. The priest must bear the responsibility for the house of YAHAWAH. Numbers chapter 18 and 1, 5. Deuteronomy 10, verse 8, YAHAWAH, the Son, the Hamashiach, the Messiah, is the one who's going to bear the responsibility. Okay. 35. The priest must prepare the holy anointing oil according to its formula. Exodus chapter 30, verse 25 does not apply. 36. Number 36. The priest must perform their services at the house of YAHAWAH at the appointed times. Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 6 through 8. Number 37. The priest may become ritually unclean due to certain close relatives. Leviticus chapter 21, verse 1 through 4. And this is talking about burial. Okay, or when you're praying over the sick. Okay, that's when you can do that. Number 38. The high priest may marry only a virgin. Leviticus 21, verse 13. Good luck on that one, guys. If you want to, if you're gonna find a girl at the age of 18 or older, good luck on that one. But it's possible. Anything's possible in the name of the Most High, YAHAWAH. Okay, all things are positive coming out of the scriptures. 39, and again, we no longer have a high priest. This can go to the holy people, but it's almost impossible. So, and the Most High knows where we are today in the status of being in a mystery Babylon. So he understands what we're going through. Basically, he wants us to wash our minds at this point. So find a woman who is a virgin in the truth. Okay, as far as spiritually understanding the word, and then you'll have a new virgin, believe it or not. And same thing with you women for men. Okay, men can become spiritually virgins. This is what Revelation chapter 14 speaks of, that these men were virgins. Virgins mean not fornicating with other gods. Okay. Number 39, the continual burnt offering must be offered twice daily. And this is going into the sacrifices. Numbers chapter 28, verse 2 through 6. Most of these sacrifices do not apply. Okay. Most of these verses that I'm about to read do not apply as laws that we must keep today. Number 40. The grain and drink offering must be offered twice daily. Numbers 28, verse 5 through 7. 41. Number 41. An additional sacrifice must be offered every Sabbath. Numbers chapter 28, 9 through 10. Number 42. An additional sacrifice must be offered on the new moon. Numbers chapter 28, verse 11. Number 43. An additional sacrifice must be offered every day of the feast of unleavened bread, Passover. Numbers chapter 28, verse 18 through 24. The Son, YAHAWAH, is now our Passover. He died for our sins by removing these sacrifices. Number 44. The omer offering of the first barley must be brought on the first day of the feast of unleavened bread, and must be waved by the priest on the second day of the feast. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 10 through 14. Number 45. An additional offering must be offered at the Feast of Weeks, which is Pentecost, which is coming up. Numbers chapter 28, verse 26 through 27. Number 46. To wave loaves of bread baked with salt must be offered on the Feast of Weeks. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 17. Now we do keep the ceremonial feast days. We rehearse those feast days. So we keep the 7 high holy days. Okay. Ceremonial high holy days. And there's a couple more that was added in due to the book of the Maccabees. Number 45. An additional offering must be offered at the Feast of Weeks. Numbers chapter 28, verse 26 through 27. 46. Number 46. To wave loaves of bread baked with salt must be offered in the Feast of Weeks. Leviticus 23, verse 17. I may have read that already. Number 47. An additional sacrifice must be offered on the Feast of Trumpets. Numbers chapter 29, verse 1 through 2. Number 48. An additional sacrifice must be offered on the Day of Atonement. Numbers chapter 29, verse 7 through 8. Number 49. The atonement service must be performed on the Day of Atonement. Leviticus chapter 16, verse 29 through 34. Number 50. An additional sacrifice must be offered every day of the Feast of Tabernacles. Numbers chapter 29, verse 12 through 13. Number 51. An additional sacrifice must be offered on the last green day. Alright, that's in October. Numbers chapter 29, verse 35 through 36. This does not apply. All of these that I've read concerning sacrifices do not apply. Number 51. An additional sacrifice must be offered on the last green day. Numbers 29, verse 35 through 36. I read that already. Number 52. 3 times a year keep a feast of YAHAWAH, at the Feast of Unleavened Bread, at the Feast of Weeks, and at the Feast of Tabernacles. Exodus chapter 23, verse 14 through 17, and that's also in Deuteronomy 16 and 16. Number 53. The Feast of YAHAWAH must be kept only at the place YAHAWAH chooses, at the house of YAHAWAH. Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 5 through 7, 14. Number 54. Every household must appear before YAHAWAH and rejoice at the feast. Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 16, number 14. Verse 14. Number 55. Number 55. The Passover lamb must be killed on the 14th day of Abib between the 2 evenings. Numbers chapter 28, verse 16. Number 56. The Passover lamb must be eaten on the night of the 15th day of Abib, which is March/April. Every year. That's what Abib is, an ear of corn, which means the springtime. So we do keep 7 high holy feast days, and this is just iterating it, but we do not sacrifice. Okay? We can rehearse the righteous acts, but we do not sacrifice. Alright, YAHAWAH is our sacrifice. This is Exodus chapter 12, verse 8 through 11. We're on number 57. Number 57. These who are unclean from a dead body or away on a journey must kill the Passover lamb in the 2nd moon. Okay, Numbers chapter 9, verse 10 through 11. Now this is the 2nd Passover. There's 2 Passovers, ladies and gentlemen. This first one comes in March, beginning of the spring, right around the middle of March, or the end of March. The 2nd Passover is in April, okay? And that was for those who were unclean the 1st month. And this followed the Levitical priests as well. Like I said, you're not in error if you keep the 1st Passover or the 2nd Passover. Number 58. The Passover in the second moon or month must be held according to all its ordinances. Numbers chapter 9, verse 11 through 12. Number 59. The silver trumpets must be sounded at feast times, new moons, and also in times of tribulation, to call the congregation together. Numbers chapter 10, verse 2, 9 through 10. Number 60. All animals to be sacrificed must be at least 8 days old. Leviticus chapter 22, verse 27. 8 days old. Now keep that in mind. Remember, we name our boys also after the 8th day. Let's go to number 61. Number 61. All animals to be sacrificed must be without blemish. Leviticus chapter 22, verse 21. That's why you can't keep the sacrifice here. No way in the heck you're going to the grocery store to find a lamb who you don't know whether it's a male or female, and we're only supposed to sacrifice males. Not only that, you have to find out or make sure that it doesn't have any defects. That's how you know we're not able to keep the old law of the sacrifices. Okay, impossible. Unless you got your own farm, but still you're not doing it right. The whole ceremony. Let's go to number 61. 62. Slakia, number 62. All offerings must be salted. Leviticus chapter 2, verse 13. Salted for bitterness, and also salt also is good for your brain. Even though a lot of our people suffer from high blood pressure, the doctor normally tell you to stop eating salt. The salt back then was pure iodine salt, okay, that we got from the mines. But salt is actually good for your mind, for your brain cells. Helps trigger your cells, okay. Also cleans out your intestines, okay. Number chapter 63. Number 63. The law of the burnt offering. Leviticus chapter 1, 2 through 3. Number 64. The law of the sin offering. Leviticus chapter 6, verse 25. Number 65. The law of the trespass offering. Leviticus chapter 7, verse 1 through 2, 7. Alright, semicolon, number 5, semicolon, 2 through 6. So chapter 5, verse 2 through 6. Number 66. The law of the peace offering. Leviticus chapter 3, verse 1. Number 67. The law of the grain offering. Leviticus chapter 2, verse 1 through 2. Number 68. If the congregation sins ignorantly, a sin offering must be brought. Leviticus chapter 4, verse 13 through 14. If a person sins ignorantly, a sin offering must be brought when he learns of a sin. Leviticus chapter 4, verse 27 through 28. This is Israel. A lot of sins are being created because they're doing it in ignorance. Okay? And there's no one to pray over them anymore. Alright, so we pray for the whole mind state of Israel right now. Number 70. If a person is in doubt as to whether he has sinned in regard to any of the holy things, a suspensive guilt offering must be brought. Leviticus chapter 5, number 15, verse 15 through 19. Understand this. When we did our sacrifices, okay, it says a guilt offering. Now, a lot of our people don't understand what guilt is anymore because they're immune to their sins. So it is about the conscience now. You see why he had to remove the sacrifices? He had to remove it and have his son come and die for our sins, because his son allowed us, enlightened us on what is guilt. You know, on the Sermon on the Mount, when you read Matthew chapter 5. That's what he's talking about. He had to humbly talk or speak to Israel to get them to understand guilt and consciousness. Okay? So this is important. Even though we keep the laws, but we do not keep these sacrificial laws. Number 71. A sin offering must be brought for stealing, swearing falsely, and sins of a like nature. Leviticus chapter 6, verse 1 through 7. Number 72. The sin offering must be according to one's means. Leviticus chapter 5, verse 7, comma, verse 11. In other words, you have to pay for your crime. Okay? Your means is, how are you going to pay for this? What are you going to bring to the priest? You're going to bring a goat, you're going to bring a cow, a lamb, whatever you go forward, by any means that you have to pay for it. Okay? So that's what it means by means. Okay? And where are we at? Alright, let's go to number 73. We must confess our sins to YAHAWAH and repent for them, and be converted to the keeping of the Most High's laws. Numbers chapter 5, verse 6 through 7. Number 74. A man who has a discharge must bring a sacrifice. Leviticus chapter 15, verse 13 through 15. And you can look at law number 109 in the same chapter. Actually, you can look at law number 109 that we're going to go over in a minute, which is ritual purification. Alright. Number 77. A leper must bring a sacrifice after he has been cleansed. Leviticus chapter 14, verse 2, comma, 10. Number 78. The first tithe is holy and belongs to YAHAWAH. Leviticus chapter 27, 30, verse 30 through verse 33. Alright, this is also dealing with the purification law. 79. The firstborn of clean animals are holy and belong to YAHAWAH. Exodus chapter 13, verse 2. Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 19. The firstborn sons belong to YAHAWAH, but may be redeemed. May be redeemed. Exodus chapter 34, verse 19 through 20. Number 81. The firstlings of a donkey must be redeemed. Exodus chapter 34, verse 20. Number 82. If the firstling of a donkey is not redeemed, its neck must be broken. Exodus chapter 13, verse 13. We took that very seriously too. Alright. Number 83. All tithes and offerings must be brought to the house of YAHAWAH. Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 5 through 6. Number 84. The house of YAHAWAH is the only place YAHAWAH has chosen to receive tithes or tithes, sacrifices, and offerings. Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 13 through 14, comma, 26. Number 85. The blood of the sacrifices must be poured out on the altar of YAHAWAH for our atonement. Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 27. A lot of these are clearly easy to understand. Number 86. Sanctified animals which have become blemished must be redeemed. Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 19 through 22. Number 87. Any animal exchanged for an offering is also holy. Leviticus chapter 27, verse 10, comma, verse 33. Number 88. The priests are to eat the meat of the consecrated offerings. Exodus chapter 29, verse 33. This stuff does not apply. 89. The priests are to eat the remainder of the grain offering. Leviticus chapter 10, verse 12 through 13. Number 90. Consecrated meat of an offering which becomes ritually unclean must be burned. Leviticus chapter 7, verse 19. Number 91. Consecrated meat of an offering not eaten within its appointed time must be burned. Leviticus chapter 7, verse 17. That goes during the Passover too. 92. Number 92. We're going to go into the vows. Alright. Number 92. A Nazirite must let his hair grow during the period of separation. Numbers chapter 6, verse 5. A Nazirite, Samson was a Nazirite. If any of y'all don't know what a Nazirite is, go to Judges chapter 14, 15, 16, I believe. He was a Nazirite, meaning there are certain things that you could not do. You cannot go near a dead body. You cannot eat grapes or drink wine. You could not shave off your hair. You could be born this way, where you have to stay that way, or you could take a vow. And that vow, the minute you do something off, that vow is broken. All right. Number 93. A Nazirite must shave his head and bring the sacrifice when the period of separation is over. Numbers chapter 6, verse 18. In other words, you got to shave off everything. If your hair is long, afro, dreads, we didn't wear dreads, but braids, you got to shave everything off and start new. It's the beginning of a new. Number 94. Vows and oaths to YAHAWAH must be kept. Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 21 through 23. Don't come up with your own vow and you don't mean it. Most High will hold you accountable. Number 95. The law of binding and loosing a vow. Read Numbers chapter 30, verse 2 through 16. Let's go into the ritual of purity. All right. Number 96. Anyone who touches or eats the carcass of an unclean animal becomes ritually unclean. Leviticus chapter 11, verse 8, 24. Unclean animal, read Leviticus chapter 11. It'll tell you about all animals that we're not supposed to eat. Okay? Number 97. Anyone who touches or eats the carcass of a clean animal that dies of itself or is torn by wild animals becomes ritually unclean. Leviticus chapter 11, verse 39 through 40. Leviticus chapter 17, verse 15. For all you fishermen out there, you see some fish lying, a big fish just lying in the lake. Do not try to catch it and eat it. Okay, do not put your net out there to get the fish. Take it home, skin it, and eat it. That's ritually unclean. All right. Just to give you an example. Number 98. Articles in food that come in contact with sources of ritual uncleanness become ritually unclean. Leviticus chapter 11, verse 32, verse 34, semicolon, verse 15, chapter 15, verse 12. So some of these still apply. Okay? These, regarding the unclean and clean animals, still apply. Okay. Number 99. Menstruous women are ritually unclean. Leviticus chapter 15, verse 19 through 28. That still applies. Okay. You women who are on your cycle, that still applies. So, going into the understanding of ritually unclean, you women who are having, you would call it periods today. Some of you actually used the appropriate language, menstrual cycle. But you women cannot be standing up on a podium teaching to the people and you're on your menstrual cycle. That is totally off. You will not be blessed teaching while you're on your menstrual cycle. Have some dignity about yourself. All right. And I'm not here to get on you. I'm here to read these laws. But a lot of people don't know this. And secondly, women are not supposed to teach men. All right. You can teach the women and the children, but you're not supposed to teach men unless you're waking someone up. Okay. Or you and your husband are having a conversation over dinner. It could come up. If he doesn't have any knowledge of that information, yes, you can enlighten him. All right. Let's go to number 101. Number 101. Anyone with a spreading skin disease is ritually unclean. Leviticus chapter 13, verse 2 through 3. Yes, this applies. Number 102. Any clothing contaminated with a spreading disease is ritually unclean. Leviticus chapter 13, verse 47 through 50 through 51. And why is it unclean? The brothers are teaching the truth, and they do not want to be touched, and they're not trying to heal you by touching you to heal you. Do not run up on them and touch them because you're unclean, because you have a wound or a flesh wound. All right. So this applies to those who are teaching the word of the Most High. Okay. Number 103. A house contaminated by a spreading disease is ritually unclean. Leviticus chapter 14, verse 34, verse 44. That spreading disease is like a mildew, sheetrock mildew from time to time in the showers, on the outside of the house if you're living in a really moisture area. All right, parts of Louisiana, I think of very moist, Mississippi, Georgia, parts of Texas, even parts of coastal places. That's a contaminated spreading disease, having mildew. Number 104, a man having an abnormal discharge is ritually unclean. Leviticus 15, verse 2. Number 105, anyone or anything coming into contact with semen or sperm becomes ritually unclean. Leviticus chapter 15, verse 16 through 18. And that person is unclean until evening. Okay? Till evening. Number 106. A woman with an abnormal discharge is ritually unclean. Leviticus chapter 15, verse 19, 25 through 28. Number 107. A human corpse and anyone who touches it is ritually unclean. Numbers chapter 19, verse 11 through 14. These apply. How long are you unclean? 7 days. Yes, it still applies. You go into a funeral, you go up under the funeral rooftop. Yes, you are unclean because you're under the same rooftop that body's under, and yes, you're unclean. We buried our people 3 days after they died. Now you got unclean people, and in these funerals, just sitting there, and their bodies is rotten, even though they have all these chemicals in it. Number 107, a human corpse and anyone who touches is ritually unclean. Numbers chapter 19, verse 11 through 14. Numbers 108. Number 108. The purification water purifies the ritually unclean. The purification water purifies the ritually unclean. Numbers chapter 19, verse 9. There is none of that anymore. Good luck on finding purification water today. Unless the Most High have it somewhere that we don't know about. Number 109. I think a brother was telling me about some water down in Guatemala that has that's like volcano-ish or whatever. I can't really go into it, but he was saying how he got into this water, and it basically, all the minerals in the water allow his damaged foot to have filling in it. I don't know how true that is, but anything's possible. Most I could do anything. All right. Number 109. Ritual purification must be laundering, ablution, and making atonement through the priest. Leviticus chapter 15, verse 27, semicolon, chapter 5, verse 2 through 3, 5 through 6. Okay. And this does not apply. Number 110. Those ritually unclean of a spreading skin disease must follow the specified purification procedure. Leviticus chapter 14, verse 2. Those unclean of a spreading skin disease must shave off all their hair. Leviticus chapter 14, verse 9. Number 112. Those unclean of a spreading skin disease must be easily distinguishable. Leviticus chapter 13, verse 45. Number 113. The ashes of the red heifer are to be used in ritual purification. Numbers chapter 19, verse 2, and 9. A red heifer is a cow that has a red coat, or a jersey coat, they would call it, a jersey cow. All right, where the hair is all the same color and it looks or has an appearance of red. Number 114. The priest must set the value of a person dedicated to YAHAWAH. Leviticus chapter 27, verse 2, verse 8, verse 25. And this is going into the tithes and offerings to the house of the Most High. The tithes do not apply, but the offerings do. All right. We do no longer have our Levitical priest anymore, and we do not have the house of David. That's an actual physical temple that we go to. Number 115. When I was referencing the house of David, I'm talking about over there in Israel, where we used to reside. Okay. The priest must set the value of an animal dedicated to YAHAWAH. Leviticus chapter 27, verse 11 through 13, verse 27. Number 116. The priest must set the value of a house dedicated to YAHAWAH. Leviticus chapter 27, verse 14 through 15. Number 117. The priest must set the value of the field dedicated to YAHAWAH. Leviticus chapter 27, verse 16, verse 22 through 23. Number 118. If one sins ignorantly regarding the holy offerings, full restitution must be made, adding a fifth of the value to it. Leviticus chapter 22, verse 14. This stuff does not apply. The last four laws I just read no longer applies. Number 118. If one sins ignorantly regarding the holy offering, full restitution must be made, adding a fifth of the value to it. Leviticus 22, verse 14. I just read that. Number 119. The fruit of the 4th year's growth of trees is holy and must be given to the priest. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 23 through 25. We do not do that anymore. Number 120. The corners of a field that is reaped must be left for the poor. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 9. And if we have a farm, you should do that. You should allow trees to grow right on the border of your property with fruit, and those who are homeless walking by should be able to grab something off your tree without being penalized. Okay. As long as they don't take all the fruits off the tree. This is a problem we deal with in today's society. People don't have any conscience. Number 121. The gleanings of a field that is reaped must be left for the poor. Leviticus chapter 19 and 9. You should do that just on protocol. Just leaving things for the poor. Because the Most High takes care of you, you should help take care of them. Number 122. Number 122. The forgotten sheaves of a field that is reaped must be left for the poor. Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 19. Number 123. Any remaining olives or grapes must be left for the poor. Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 20 through 21. We don't have any of the stuff like we used to because of the curses in Deuteronomy 28. So some of the stuff applies, some of it does not, even based on Deuteronomy 28. Not just by the Hamashiach dying on the cross, but because of also Deuteronomy 28. Number 124. Any fallen grapes must be left for the poor. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 10. Number 125. The first fruits of all our labor must be separated and brought to the house of YAHAWAH. Exodus chapter 23, verse 19. Number 126. All holy offerings must be given to the priest at the house of YAHAWAH. Numbers chapter 18, verse 8 through 14, 21. Number 127. The fifth or the first tithe, the first tenth of all our increase must be given to the house of YAHAWAH for the work of YAHAWAH. Leviticus chapter 27, verse 30, Deuteronomy chapter 14, or Deuteronomy 28, Slakia, I'm backing up. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 22, Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 6. Number 128, the second tithe, or the second tenth, must be set aside for the feast of YAHAWAH. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 23 through 26. Number 129, the priests and Levites must also tithe to the work of Yahawah. Numbers chapter 18, verse 25, verse 28 through 29. Number 130, the third tithe, or the third tenth, must be set aside in the 3rd and 6th years of the 7th year cycle for the poor to come to the feast. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 28 through verse 29. Tithes and offerings must be presented to Yahawah with prayer. Deuteronomy chapter 26, verse 13 through 14. Each household is to bring or send their tithes and offerings before Yahawah to the house of Yahawah. Alright, this is no Christian collection plate. Alright, so people be thinking about Christianity. There's no Christian collection plate on this. Deuteronomy chapter 26, verse 2 through 4, verse 10. Number 133. The first portion of the grain offering must be given to the priest at the house of Yahawah. Numbers chapter 15, verse 20 through verse 21. And these are all the tithes and the offerings. Now you can still make a building offering. You can still send an offering. Okay, that's still doable. But the tithes, you notice how I said the third tithe, the second tithe, the first tithe, that stuff is gone. Alright, ask the pastor about that. Oh, okay, you asked for tithes. What about the second tithe? What about the third tithe? They don't know nothing about that because it's not established anymore. This is what Christ did away with. Okay, the sabbatical year. Let's go into this. Go into the laws on this. Number 134. Every 7th year is a Sabbath of rest for the land. Leviticus chapter 25, verse 2 through 5. And actually, if you could rehearse this, it would be great. This is what's going to heal the land. But in this particular land, good luck. Number 135. Whatever the land yields during the Sabbath year will be for food. Exodus chapter 23, verse 10 through 11. Leviticus chapter 25, verse 6 through 7. Because what this means is when you grow herbs and spices and stuff on your land and you just stop, it has a tendency to come back even if you don't water it. It'll still grow. Ivy will come back. All that stuff will grow even when you don't touch it after a while. Man's hand, if you grow it naturally, it naturally takes over. If you grow it chemically with GMOs, it will die. It will not produce again. Okay, I know. Number 136. You must concentrate and proclaim the jubilee year, which is the 7th year. Leviticus chapter 25, verse 10 through verse 12. Number 137. On the day of atonement of the jubilee year, the shofar must be sounded and Hebrew slaves set free. Leviticus chapter 25, verse 9 through 10, 13. This is not the 4th of July. Alright? We was not set free on the 4th of July. Number 138. In the Jubilee year, all the land is to be returned, or Juneteenth. I have to go backwards. Brothers celebrate Juneteenth. We was not freed in during Juneteenth either. Somebody got paid off of us. That's what happened. Number 138. In the Jubilee year, all the land is to be returned to its appointed owners. Leviticus chapter 25, verse 23 through 24, verse 28. So the Indians should have this land back. Number 139. In a walled city, the seller has a right to buy back a house within a year of the sale. Leviticus chapter 25, verse 29 through 30. Number 140. The years until the Jubilee must be counted. Leviticus chapter 25, verse 8. Number 141. The 7th year is the year of release. Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 1 through 3. Number 142. In the 7th year, a foreigner may be pressed for payment of a debt. Deuteronomy chapter 15 and 3. And this goes into the credit card issues or loan issue. They must repay us or wash away your debt after the 7th year. But what they do is they sell it to another creditor or debtor by the 5th year. So the 7 years starts all over again. This is wicked. That's why you're in Mystery Babylon. Number 143. Let's go into the clean animals fit for consumption and offerings. The offerings are not here anymore. You do not take animals and give it to the priest for that. All right. Number 143. The priest must receive their share of all clean animals that are slaughtered as a sacrifice. Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 3. Number 144. The priest must receive the first fleece from the shearing of sheep. Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 4. All these are not in order anymore. Number 145. Anything devoted to Yahweh becomes most holy to Yahweh and becomes the property of the house of Yahweh and the priest. Leviticus chapter 27, verse 28. Does not apply. Number 146. To be fit for consumption, clean animals must be slaughtered. Do not eat what dies of itself or is killed by wild beasts. Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 21. Number 147. The blood of slaughtered clean animals must be poured on the ground and covered with earth. Leviticus chapter 17, verse 13. Number 148. Set the mother bird free when taking the nest of the young. Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 6 through 20. Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 6 through 7. Number 149. Examine the meat of animals to make sure it is permitted for consumption. Leviticus chapter 11, verse 2 through 3. Number 150. Examine fowl or birds to make sure they are permitted for consumption. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 11. Number 151. Examine locusts to make sure they are permitted for consumption. Leviticus chapter 11, verse 21 through 22. Yes, you can eat locusts. It's the only bug you can eat. You cannot eat escargot, okay? Or any other crazy bug. Number 152. Examine fish to make sure they are permitted for consumption. Leviticus chapter 11, verse 9 through 10. Number 153. Let's get into the feast and the Sabbaths. The feast and the Sabbaths. The new moons are to be observed to set Yahweh's feast. And yes, we do keep these ceremonial feast days and Sabbaths. That's going to be Exodus chapter 12, verse 2. Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 1. Number 154. The seventh day of every week is Yahweh's Sabbath, rest, and a holy convocation. Exodus chapter 23, verse 12. Number 155. Keep the Sabbath day holy by making preparation in advance. Exodus chapter 20, verse 8 through 11. Semicolon. Exodus chapter 16, verse 23. Number 156. Remove all leaven from all your property before the 15th of Abib. Exodus chapter 12, verse 15. That's the Feast of Unleavened Bread week, which is 7 days. Number 157. On the 15th day of Abib, teach our children the story of Exodus from Egypt. Exodus chapter 13, verse 8. Number 158. Eat unleavened bread from the 15th through the 21st of Abib. Exodus chapter 12, verse 18. Number 159. The first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, or Passover, is the Sabbath of rest and a holy convocation. Cooking may be done on a feast day Sabbath, but not on the weekly Sabbath. Okay? Exodus chapter 12, verse 16. Number 160. The seventh day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread is a Sabbath of rest and a holy convocation. Exodus chapter 12, verse 16. Number 161. Count 50 days from the day after the first holy day Sabbath of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. The count of Omer to the Feast of Weeks. This is Pentecost, which means 50. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 15 through 16. Number 162. The Feast of Weeks is the Sabbath of rest and of holy convocation. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 21. Number 163. The Feast of Trumpets is a Sabbath of rest and a holy convocation. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 24. Number 164. The Day of Atonement is a day of complete fasting from evening to evening. From evening to evening. Leviticus chapter 16, verse 29 through 31. Number 165. The Day of Atonement is a Sabbath of rest and a holy convocation. Leviticus 23, verse 27 through 32. Number 166. The first day of the Feast of Tabernacles is a Sabbath of rest and a holy convocation. Leviticus 23, verse 34 through 35. Number 167. The great day is a Sabbath of rest and a holy convocation. Leviticus 23, verse 36. What's that great day? The Sabbath day. It's a high holy day. Number 168. Dwell in booths. Dwell in booths, Sukkah. Temporary dwellings, alright, during the Feast of Tabernacles. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 42. So you could go camping during that time. Number 169. You can't, remember, we're rehearsing the righteous acts by doing this. Number 169. A sukkah must be built before the Feast of Tabernacles. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 40. Number 170. Sound the shofar on the Feast of Tabernacles. On the Feast of Trumpets. Sound the shofar on the Feast of Trumpets. Numbers chapter 29, verse 1. Laws concerning the duty of the community and observing the authority of Yahweh's laws and Yahweh's anointed. Okay, so we're going to go in this. This is number 171. Every male 20 years old and above must give half a shekel to the house of the Most High annually. Exodus chapter 30, verse 12 through 16. That's when a man becomes a man. Okay? 12 is the age of responsibility. 20 is the age of being a man, getting a job, and participating to help Israel. Also is the age of going to war. Number 172. Listen to and obey Yahweh's anointed servant, the overseer of the house of Yahweh. Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 15 through 19. Now, the overseer now is who? Yahawashi, Hamashiach. Number 173. The king must be appointed by Yahweh. Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 15. And he appointed him, and he is waiting to come back. Number 174. Listen to and obey Yahweh's anointed priests, the body of elders of the house of Yahweh, under the direction of the overseer of the house of Yahweh. Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 9 through 11. Deuteronomy 17, verse 9 through 11. Okay. Number 175. Speak the truth when testifying in a lawsuit or an investigation. Exodus chapter 23, verse 2. So it's telling you to speak the truth. Some of you brothers think if you don't say anything that you're exempt. But it says speak the truth. Okay. Number 176. The priests and their assistants must be chosen by Yahweh. Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 18. Remember that one. They must be chosen by the Most High. Many are chosen, but many are called, but few are chosen, right? Number 177. The priests of the house of Yahweh, chosen by Yahweh, must judge the people impartially according to Yahweh's laws. Leviticus 19, verse 15. We don't have a house to set that up. So now we're going out there commanding it to their face, letting them know that there are laws, they still exist, and we must keep them. And the Most High will judge them. Okay? Our job is to be the voice and to announce it. Number 178. Whoever is aware of evidence in a case must speak up and testify. Leviticus chapter 5, verse 1. Number 179. The testimony of witness shall be examined thoroughly by the priest. Deuteronomy chapter 13, verse 14. Number 180. False witnesses shall be judged according to the law. Deuteronomy chapter 19, verse 19. This false witness shall be judged according to the law. We still do that. Okay. Number 181. We're trying to establish the kingdom of heaven right now. So we have to do it by what? Showing people that we are witnesses for the Most High by showing the judgments that's coming on Israel based on them breaking the law. All right. And many of these pastors are false witnesses because they are, in these religions are false witnesses because they do not teach the law of the Most High to give our people the understanding or give our people the sense of right from wrong. Number 181. When a person is found murdered and the murderer is unknown, the prescribed ritual must be performed. Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse 1 through 9. So we had investigators, we had detectives in our society. Okay? We were a law-abiding people. Let's go to number 182. 6 cities of refuge in the land of Israel must be established. Numbers chapter 35, verse 11 through 13. We don't have that anymore, especially here in America. You got too many cameras, for one, and the cameras judge you. You know, the cameras judge you and change the minds of people. Number 183. The priests and Levites must be given cities to live in. Numbers chapter 35, verse 2 through 3. We don't have that anymore. Alright, this doesn't apply. Number 184. Build a guardrail around a roof if it is flat and used as living space, and guard against hazards in the home. Deuteronomy 22, verse 8. So what they do now is they make, you see a lot of that construction done back in the days where they would have flat roofs with gutter systems, gutter systems. And now what they do is they make your houses with the I forget the technical name of it, but you see a lot of houses looking like they're coned up, right? And they have the tile on it, and the tile, it keeps you from just going up there on your roof. Now people just can't go up on their roof. They do take the chance of falling off, but we were a holy people. We had on top of our roofs, we always had like a deck where you could walk on top of the roof and look at the stars, and that was a way of our retreating, getting away. King David did that, right? So in order to protect the people who go up on the roof, we used to have guardrails so they didn't fall off. Number 185. Let's go into the God worship. All right, the worship of different gods. All right. Number 185. The practice of God worship must be destroyed. Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 2 through 4. All right. Holidays stem from other gods. Okay, that's filthy communication, believe it or not. Number 186. A city which turns to God worship must be treated according to the law. Deuteronomy chapter 13, verse 12 through 15. Number 187. The God-worshiping nations who utterly refuse to repent will suffer destruction. Deuteronomy chapter 20, verse 17. Number 188. Blot out the remembrance of God worshippers. Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 19. This is idolatry. Number 189. Remember what the God worshippers did to Israel. Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 17 through 18. Let's go into the laws concerning times of tribulation and persecution, which we're in now. Number 190. Our conduct must be according to the Most High's laws during times of persecution. Deuteronomy chapter 20, verse 11 through 12. This is what we need now. Number 191. The priest must address the congregation in times of tribulation. Deuteronomy chapter 20, verse 2 through 4. This is why they bring these pastors out when riots and things of that nature happen with our people. They don't bring it with any other nation. Have you noticed? The only time they bring out these so-called preachers and ministers is when you Negroes act up. This is how you know that you're Israel too. Number 192. The camp of YAHAWAH must be kept in a sanitary condition. Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 9. Number 193. The camp of YAHAWAH must be equipped with the necessary implements to keep it in a sanitary condition, and each must do his part. Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 12 through 14. Our duties to our fellow men. Let's read that. Our duties to our fellow men. Number 194. Stolen property must be returned to its owner. This applies, like I said about the tribulation and persecution, that stuff applies except for the priest part, because we don't have our priest anymore. Alright, we're trying to establish that. Number 195. The poor must be taken care of according to Yahweh's laws. Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 8, verse 11. Number 196. When a Hebrew slave goes free, the owner must give him gifts. Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 12 through 14, 18. Number 197. Loans to brothers must be without interest. Exodus chapter 22, verse 25. Number 198. Loans to a foreigner may be with interest. Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 20. Number 199. Restore a pledge for a loan to its owner if he needs it. Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 12 through 13. Number 200. Pay the hired worker his wages at the agreed time. Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 14 through 15. These are laws that we got to follow. You know. Number 201. Permit the poor to eat of the produce of the vineyard or the standing grain. Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 24 through 25. Number 202. Help a stranger who has a fallen animal. Exodus chapter 23, verse 5. You should do that out of the consciousness of your mind, out of the urgency of your mind. You should help your brother with his dog, cat, whatever it may be. Number 203. Help a brother who has a fallen animal. Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 4. Number 204. Lost property must be restored to its owner. Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 1. You know, that used to be a time when we didn't have locks on our doors. Now, you think anybody keeping that law? We wouldn't have locks on our doors if that wasn't the case. So this place is wicked. Every house has locks. Every car has locks. That's the wickedness of this society, having locks on our doors. Okay. Number 205. Those who sin must be corrected. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 17. Number 206. Love your neighbor, whether a brother or an enemy, as yourself. Leviticus 19, verse 18. Number 207. Love the stranger and the new convert among you. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 34. Number 208. Use only honest weights and measures. Leviticus 19, 36. That's dealing with interest fees and usury fees. You know, people don't do that anymore. They don't use honest weights and measures. You work and they take a lot of money out of your check. That's dishonesty. Family. Let's talk about family. Number 209. Show honor and respect for Yahweh's appointed teachers. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 32. Alright, when we out there all the time. Number 210. Show honor and respect to parents. Exodus chapter 20, verse 12. Number 211. Become holy as Yahweh is holy. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 2. Number 212. Bring forth the holy seed, the 144,000 holy priesthood promised to Abraham. Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 through 28. Number 213. Marriage must be according to Yahweh's laws. Genesis chapter 2, verse 24. Number 214. A bridegroom is to rejoice with his bride. Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 5. Number 215. All males must be circumcised. Newborn males on the 8th day. Genesis chapter 17, verse 10 through 12, verse 14. Number 216. Should a man die childless, his brother must either marry the widow. Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 5 through 6. And I will say on this one, in this wicked society, this does not apply. Although it does happen, but it doesn't apply. Normally the woman wants out of the family, and or the man releases her. Number 217, he may release his brother's widow. There it is right there. He may release his brother's widow. Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 7 through 10. Let's go to number 218. A man who violates a virgin must pay the bride price. Marry her if the father permits, and may never divorce her. Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 29. That's when you rape a girl, you got to stay with her forever. Okay. Number 219. And most brothers ain't going to do that. All right. There's a penalty for everything. You just can't just do what you want to do, take what you want to take. You know, there's a penalty. We were a righteous people. Number 219. The priest must judge in a case of premarital promiscuity. Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 13 through 15. Alright. Number 220. A woman's father may utterly refuse to give his daughter to a man even though he pays the bride price. Exodus chapter 22, verse 16 through 17. Alright. I could go in on that, but I'm not. Number 221. The female captive must be treated in accordance with special regulations concerning repentance and conversion. Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse 11 through 14. Number 222. Divorce can only be for the cause of premarital fornication. Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 1 through 4. Number 223. A woman suspected of adultery must submit to the required tests. Numbers chapter 5, verse 12 through 15. This does not apply anymore. You can read that chapter and you'll see what I'm talking about. We don't have potions and things of that nature to tell you that the woman has been fornicating or committing adultery while she's married. You know, we don't have those medicines anymore to figure that out. Everything's contaminated. Number 224. When required by law, the judges must administer the appropriate punishment. Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 2 through 3. Number 225. The law concerning unintentional homicide. Numbers chapter 35, verse 22 through 25. Now, judgments as far as stoning people and taking this stuff into our own manners, we cannot do that anymore. It must go before the courts of the county, the cities, and the state, and the federal judges, okay, of this land. No longer do we have an order within our family to do these things. And when I say family, I'm talking about the family of Israel. Number 227. But this is just showing you what our heritage was like when we ruled. Number 227. There is one law for all, for the house of YAHAWAH and for the house or for the stranger. Number chapter 15, verse 15 through 16. Number 228. One who sins, breaks any of YAHAWAH's laws, whether intentionally or unintentionally, is guilty. Look at that. So all you people to say you didn't know the law, you're going to be judged by the law. Okay? It's just like this law of the land that's set up. You will be fined if you act like you didn't know that there was a law that existed for doing what you just broke. Okay? So unintentionally, you're still guilty. This is Leviticus chapter 5 and 17, Numbers chapter 15, verse 30. Number 229. The penalty for sin, which is the breaking of the Most High's law, is eternal death. Alright, Numbers chapter 15, verse 30 through 31. Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 20. Semicolon, Exodus chapter 32, verse 33. And this is what's killing people, sin. 230, number 230. Atonement can be made through the righteousness or the righteous high priest for those who truly repent of sin and turn in complete obedience to YAHAWAH's laws. Leviticus chapter 16 and 16, comma, 32 through 34. We go through YAHAWAH as our high priest. Number 231. The body of one who is executed must be buried the same day. Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse 23. That's impossible now. Not impossible. If we establish our laws in this land, then we may be able to do that. The Muslims do it, so we should be able to do it as well. We have a law already established. We just got to bring it to the forefront and have a system in order. This is law concerning slaves. Let's go into this one. Number 232. Hebrew slaves must be treated according to the special laws for them. Exodus chapter 21, verse 2 through 6. When you look at Nehemiah, Ezra's, when you look at those prophets, they were able to still go back to their land 3 times a year and keep the high holy days, whereas now they took away our special laws and we don't know what to do anymore. So this does not apply. 233, the owner or his son may marry his Hebrew maidservant. Exodus chapter 21, verse 8 through 9. Did y'all know that? You wonder why they was marrying our women? That's why. Number 234. If the owner or his son does not marry his Hebrew maidservant, he must allow her father to redeem her. Exodus chapter 21, verse 8. Number 235. The regulation of the foreign slaves. Leviticus chapter 25, verse 44 through 46. Let's go on to lawsuits. Lawsuits. Number 236. Judgment must be rendered in the case of injury caused by a person. Exodus chapter 21, verse 18 through 25. Now, we don't have these laws set up, but the laws of the land, they have them set up. The Most High, Yahawah and Yahawashi are going to bring judgment on us if we don't act accordingly while we're in these earthly bodies to repay those who we've damaged or injured. Alright. Yeah. So before you check out, make sure you have a clear conscience. And you know what I mean by checking out. Number 237. Judgment must be rendered in the case of injury caused by an animal. Exodus chapter 21, verse 28 through 29. Number 238. Judgment must be rendered in the case of injury caused to an animal. Exodus 21, verse 33 through 34. Number 239. Thief must make full restitution or else be sold for his theft. Exodus chapter 22, 1 through 4. Number 240. Judgment must be rendered in cases of property damage caused by animals. Exodus chapter 22, verse 5. Number 241. Judgment must be rendered in cases of fire damage. Exodus chapter 22, verse 6. Number 242. Judgment must be rendered in cases involving items held for safekeeping. Exodus 22, verse 7 through 8. Number 243. Judgment must be rendered in cases involving animals held for safekeeping. Exodus chapter 22, verse 10 through 13. Number 244. Judgment must be rendered in cases of claims against a borrower. Exodus chapter 22, verse 14 through 15. Number 245. Judgment must be rendered in disputes arising out of sales. Leviticus chapter 25, verse 14 through 17. Number 246. Judgment must be rendered in disputes over possession of property. Exodus chapter 22, verse 9. Today you have probate. Number 247. Monetary restitutions must be paid in cases involving bodily damage. Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 11 through 12. Semicolon. Exodus chapter 21, verse 23 through 25. Number 248. Judgment must be rendered in disputes arising out of inheritance. Numbers chapter 27, verse 8 through 11. Semicolon. Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse 15 through 17. That's where we get the power of attorney for that restitution to be rendered to children of death of a parent. Let's go into the 365 prohibition. Alright, basically we're going to go into God worship and related practices. I guess I've been reading longer than 45 minutes, huh?